Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about my first car flip that I'm going to do. And here's a 2005 Ford Mustang Premium V6. Picked it up for $2,500. It's in great condition. There's no rust on the body anywhere. There is some light scratching in the paint. As you can see, there's a scratch right here. It doesn't look that great, but it's not very deep. It's just, I can barely even get my fingernail on it. So, not real concerned about that. I can get that out with doing some wet sanding. Other than that, you know, you can see that this car is in very, very good condition for its age. The wheels need cleaned up a little bit. Got some scratching going down on the sides. There's a lot of places where I'm going to have to be doing some wet sanding to get all those scratches out. But that's one of the things I've done for years is detailing. I've gotten pretty good at it. Usually I bring it back to the showroom shine, get rid of all of these scratches. Even the fine, small ones that you think you get when you actually detail, they will come out without any issues. This does have aftermarket tail lights on it. This emblem is kind of a little worn out. I'm not sure if I'm going to replace it or not. Said it's always an added expense, and you want to try to make your most money off of it. You just want to replace and fix what has to be fixed. So there is no rust anywhere that I've been able to find on this car so far, which is awesome. Like I said, the paint's really in good condition. All of this stuff I can fix, and you won't find any scratches or I haven't seen any real dents or anything major that I needed to take out of it. So, talking about that, question is, how did I get this for $2,500? It has 148,000 miles on it. Generally, these cars with that amount of miles would probably be running around anywhere from 4,500 up to probably 6,500. And right now, with the way car prices are, probably high end would be 65. Most of the time these are going to sell for probably 55 all day. The reason that I got this so cheap was because he had some issues and he thought the transmission was bad in it. So he took it to a shop. Shop came out and said, no, you've got clogged catalytic converters. So the car wouldn't go above 10 miles an hour. If it even got to that, I could barely even get it up into my drive. Engine was running, but you pressing the gas, you had no power. So once he found that out, he said, well, there's a couple other things. I've got a clunking going on in the front suspension somewhere. Well, they found out that he has a broken sway bar link. So that needs to be replaced. And he said there's a antifreeze leaking. Well, it's coming from the coolant reservoir. I haven't really investigated. I haven't been able to run the engine long enough to just let the coolant circulate and see where that leak is coming from. But to me, when I started when I went to go check the fluid was full. So it's not actively leaking out of it, which means it's got to be either leaking from a hose or somewhere else. What I found out, though, when I was tightening the cap back down, the cap, when you get it to tight and when you go to make that last turn to make sure that it's tight, it pops loose again. So I'm wondering if it wasn't loose and driving around, it was kind of moving that fluid around and was seeping out through the cap and dripping out. So I just ordered a cap. We'll see if that fixes it. If not, I may have to replace the whole reservoir to make sure that seals up well and go from there. So what they quoted him to fix everything was $1,700. Now, he either didn't want to pay it or couldn't afford to fix it or what. I'm not real sure, but it popped up on Facebook. I got a hold of him within a half an hour. Went to look at it, made a deal with him, went to go look at it the next day, gave him cash, and I called a flatbed tow truck, had it picked up and brought out to my house. So we'll show you the inside. It is leather on the inside. So I'll show you the inside. You can see it's got leather seats. Even the leather seats are in really good condition. It's even powered leather seats. So this is a really good car. It's really been well taken care of. It does have an aftermarket stereo in it, which it would be a plus for most people. It looks like, I'm not sure. This is the first Mustang I've ever owned, so I don't know if those speakers sticking out that far are normal or if that's aftermarket speakers. But the leather in here, it's not cracked, it's not worn out, it'll clean up great. See if I can, the back. There's the back. As you can see, Mustangs are not for people to be riding in the back. Unless you have short drivers and people in the front, you're not going to have a whole lot of leg room back there. So don't plan on buying one of these if you have a family. Unless it's just a joyride thing on the weekend. Or just not your family car. Maybe it's your other car. Your second car. Go ahead and pop the hood. Underneath these things. All right, so here's up underneath the hood. So here's the V6 engine. It's strange. It seems to me that it's sitting like really high in the engine bay compared to like my truck. My truck is like, seems like it sits way down in there. So I'm guessing if there's anything major that you would need to work on inside the engine, it's probably not too hard to get to. That it just seems like everything is just lifted up. So everything else looked fine. Here's where I was talking about the cap. If you keep turning, it just comes loose. It just pops loose. So I think that's where the leak might be coming from. I think when I took it off, you can see that there's like a little bit leaking around the edge of it. So that might be where it's coming from. But it's got plenty of fluid in there. But every time you tighten it, it just pops and loose. So you just got to kind of hand tighten it as tight as you think you can get it before it pops loose again like that again. So ordered a new one of those caps, see if that is the problem or if it's the screw part connecting onto the reservoir. So I'll have to check on that. So what I do have coming in, I've got the new catalytic converters and exhaust will be coming in this week. And I also ordered 2 new oxygen sensors because if your cats are clogged, it probably has ruined your oxygen sensors. If it didn't ruin them, they are probably pretty dirty and pretty caked up, and they're really not something you can clean very well or clean effectively. So I just went ahead and replaced those. They're not bad. I think they're about 20 bucks a piece for this car. I do have the sway bar links coming in for both sides. Just going to replace them both, even though it's just one side that's broke. If the one's gone, the other one's probably on its way. So go ahead and get that changed. I also am going to do a tune-up and an oil change on this car. So I have a new coil pack coming in. I've got new plug wires coming in, and I've got new plugs. So that'll all be done along with when I change the oil. Anytime I get any used car, whether it's I'm selling it, whether I'm keeping it, I always do an oil change because you never know for sure when the last time somebody's changed the oil. The sticker up there, up in the top corner, it could be right, it may be, maybe not be. You just don't know. So I go ahead and change it. Plus, I don't know what oil they're using in it. So I'm going to switch it over to a good oil that I know is top of the line. Generally, on other vehicles, I always put a synthetic blend in. Unless it calls specifically for synthetic, I will use a synthetic blend. On my truck, I use the Ford, the Motorcraft synthetic blend. That's what it calls for. Although it does call for 520, and I use 530 because that's the consensus with everyone that is a little bit better oil. but I also use a few additives in there, so it is a little bit better than just a standard synthetic oil with the mixture that I use. And I will do a video if you guys are interested in the additives that I use. I kind of go over a little bit. I use a cleaner. I'll always flush the engine clean with an engine flush before I do the oil change, and try to loosen up some of the gum and varnish and junk that's built up in that engine for 148,000 miles. Get some of that loosened up. Then I will drain all that out. I will replace it with the synthetic blend oil along with a couple additives. And one of the additives is also an engine cleaner, but it's a long-term engine cleaner. So you put it in and you leave it in for the length of the oil, and then when you change it, then you just add about half that amount in when you change the oil. I also use a friction reducer. Just helps to keep everything moving, everything less buildup. It really restores the engines back to better power. It's not going to be power like right out of the showroom or from the dealership, but it's going to bring some of that power back. So I will go over those products in another video. Let me know if you're really interested in hearing about those products. They are really good. Some are recommended by some Ford guys, and others are just preference of what they found have worked well. So that's all I have about that for today. When parts start coming in and I start doing some work on this thing, I will definitely post a few videos. I'm not going to go through the step-by-steps on replacing it, showing me replacing every single little part that needed to be replaced, because I know I fast forward through some of those videos. So what I'll do is I'll show you what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, and then I'll do it, and then I'll show you the end result in the video. So if you guys like this and want to see some more, this is something I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start flipping cars, and maybe at some point open up a used car dealership in my area. So as I'm doing through these flips, if you guys want to see some more cars that I bring in here and cars that I flip and get some more information about that stuff, go ahead, click subscribe, click the notification bell, and click like on this video so others can see it. That's all I've got for now. Thanks.